Today we are making some vegan cheesesteaks using tofu, and this might be my new favorite way to eat tofu. We're going to use a technique which I first saw from Sauce Stash, and it's going to get you some of the meatiest tofu you ever did see or eat, so let's get that going. And I'm doing things a little differently than Sauce Stash. I'm going to be using super firm tofu instead of just extra firm, and I highly suggest doing this as you don't need to press or boil the tofu first. And if you can't get super firm, just do as Sauce Stash does in his video, but for me, I'm going to just go ahead and slice mine up as thin as I can. And don't stress too much since we're going to end up crumbling and chopping this up anyways. Just get it as thin as you safely can. And to flavor our tofu, you can really go any avenue you like, but I'm going to be using some of these ingredients to impart a meaty flavor. I'm going to start with a teaspoon of the Better Than Bouillon beefless broth, but use whatever broth you can get. I also tried out this onion broth, which worked great as well. And then after that, we're going to do a teaspoon of Vegemite or Marmite, and then 2 to 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, depending on how salty you like it. And then next is 1 teaspoon of Kitchen Bouquet, which is mostly for color, but it does add a little bit of flavor. And then after that, we're going to do 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast by law. And don't worry, I didn't run out. I got a backup, of course. Then we're going to do a teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and then 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil. I think I used avocado oil, and then 2 tablespoons of water to thin it out. Whisk that up, and then next let's add our sliced tofu to the bowl and go ahead and get in there with our clean hands and coat all the tofu in that meaty marinade. And then next we need to get a baking sheet, and I'm going to line mine with a parchment paper and some cooking spray just to make sure nothing sticks. And now we just want to lay out our tofu in a single layer. If you need to use 2 sheets, go for it. But if the tofu is stacked on itself, it's just going to take longer to cook in the oven. And once you got them nice and spread out, add them to a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 20 to 30 minutes, or until the tofu is slightly dry and chewy. And then while the tofu is baking, let's grill up about half of a large onion that we've diced up. So add some vegan butter and oil to the pan, and then your diced onion, toss to coat, add a little bit of salt if you gotta, and just grill those over medium heat for the 20 to 30 minutes that your tofu is baking. And now once my tofu was done, I thought I was going to be a cool guy and just do everything on my big old griddle, but turns out I'm not that cool, and I had to transfer everything to a proper frying pan since I was doing a double batch. Oh, and here's what the tofu looks like after it's been baked. Just try it out, and if it's chewy and a little dry, you're good. So now since they're dry, we're gonna go ahead and rehydrate them just a bit to make them juicier, and depending on how salty you like your meat, you can use some more vegan beef broth, or if it's already salty enough, just use some water. I'm gonna do half a cup of each, but either way, you wanna pour in 1 cup of liquid and just cook that and reduce it down. And like I said, I'm doing a double batch, so this is actually twice as much as you'll probably make, unless you wanna make a double batch as well and feast on the leftovers like I've been doing. And once your liquid has reduced, your meat is done, and now we can make a cheese sauce. And so for this, I'm doing a simplified version of the Shake Shack cheese sauce I did a while back. So we'll get half a cup of cashews in boiling water for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna blend them up with 1 cup of unsweetened plant milk. We're gonna add that mixture to a saucepan along with a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder, and then 2 teaspoons of white wine vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of pickled jalapeno brine. We'll whisk that up and then add in 8 ounces of your favorite vegan cheddar shreds. Whisk that until it's nice and melted. Season to taste as always, or add in more plant milk if it's too thick. And once it's looking something like that, it's time to make our sandwich. And now for the bread, if you can, I highly recommend getting some of these Amoroso rolls. I made a sandwich with a normal old deli roll, and it was good, but the Amorosas are just made for this kind of sandwich, so score those if you can. You can also make a quick sandwich spread by combining some vegan mayo and Calabrian chilies, which I'll admit, while this was tasty, the sandwich is so rich on its own, I'm not sure it's totally necessary, but it's an option if you want it. So let's get our spread on there, and then some of our tofu meat. And now I wanted to get a cool cheese drizzle shot, and I don't know, this just wasn't as cool as I would have liked, but that's all right. The sandwich was still super delicious. I mean, it's just super meaty, cheesy, oniony. What else could you ask for? But still, I wanted to get a better shot. So I went ahead and made another one, and that looks better. And yeah, this one is on the Amoroso with no spread, and I gotta say, freaking fantastic. And look, I know some of yous might not want to make a cheese sauce from scratch. Well, the good news is you don't have to. You can simply grill up some of the meat like so, shape it like into a little line of meat that matches your roll, and then add some vegan cheese on top, drop some water in there, covered in melt, and then a little later, bam, melted vegan cheese. And now this was the first time I tried doing this the way they do it in Philly, and I was a little sketched out and nervous, but after some growing pains, I think I did okay. And now that sandwich, it looks pretty good, but you know what? Why not drizzle some cheese on that one as well? And I gotta say, that was a pretty good move. You know, the cheese on the inside and the outside was just a genius move, if I say so myself. I doubt I invented it, but I feel like people either do, you know, one or the other, so I figured, why not both? And I was right. But like I said, not only was this sandwich totally amazing, I love this style of tofu, and I think there's just a ton of ways it can be used. So let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see me do with it, and if you want to make a cheese stick with soy curls, check out this other video I got right here, and until then, I'll see you all next time.